Hey guys, it's me again. Still sick. I hate being sick. Anybody else hate being sick? Anyway, I've been watching some of my favorite motovloggers, and I've noticed a subject that keeps coming up. So I'm going to talk about it, because it's how I roll. The subject for today: sport bikes versus cruisers. I think I have a unique perspective on this for two reasons. One, I've ridden both. I started off on a KZ 550, which is kind of a standard bike, not really a cruiser style bike. And then I had the 1987 VFR 700, which is a fairinged sport bike. And then I had the Magna 750, which is a cruiser style bike that I sort of cafe'd out with short bars and that kind of nonsense. And now I've got the Ninja. So I've been on both styles of bike. Beyond that, I am the only sport bike riding member of my club. Every other member of my club is on a Harley or some sort of Japanese metric cruiser. So there's that. I feel like I have some kind of input to give here. So, sport bikes versus cruisers. Let me set one thing straight before I say anything else. Everybody in those categories is on two wheels. So I see no reason for this stupid rivalry that we've got going. I'll go around this car. There's this retarded rivalry that comes up between sport bike riders and cruiser riders, like we aren't part of the same culture, and it irritates the crap out of me sometimes. Because we're all part of the same world. Now that being said, there are different styles that accommodate different bikes. I'm a sport bike guy. I like to go fast. I like to drag knee a little bit. Well, try to drag knee a little bit anyway. That's my style. There are some guys that prefer to roll slow and chill and take in the scenery, and that's all well and good for them. I see no harm in either style. In fact, I think both of them are awesome ways to get around. Anything that's on two wheels appeals to me way more than a car does. But for argument's sake, I'll play devil's advocate and say that I prefer sport bikes. That's just my thing. I prefer the way they're styled. I prefer their positioning over the cruisers. I like the fact that there's a little more plastic, which means you can do a lot more cosmetically with a cruiser, or with a sport bike, sorry. Stuck in retarded traffic. The mall is god-awful in December. I'm just going to share that with you guys right now. So yeah, I mean, I prefer sport bikes. There's a lot more you can do to personalize them and make them your own versus a cruiser. But the cruisers have their own appeal. I mean, that classic throaty rumble is something you can only get from a cruiser. Whether it's American or Japanese is irrelevant. That throaty bass, that's something you will almost never see on a sport bike. You can get deep sound, but it's always going to sound ricey. It's never going to sound heavy. I don't know. I can understand the appeal of an old school bagger or a bobber, because they're badass. They scream old school nostalgia. You know what I mean? Let's go this way. You guys get to see some California lane splitting here. I'm one of those guys that has the benefit of hazards, so I like to hit them when I'm lane splitting in the dark. Just makes me a little more visible to cars. If you have hazards on your bike, I highly recommend that as a lane splitting strategy. It helps make you more visible. People see those blinking lights and they can't tell if it's a blinker of a car or hazards on a bike, whatever, but they see the blinking lights and they pay a little bit more attention. Lane splitting. I'll get into that one on a different day. So yeah, sport bikes versus cruisers. I don't know. Everybody has their own take. I'm one of those guys that if you're on two wheels, that is really all that matters to me. Like, I don't care, dude. Just ride. As long as you ride, you get an A+ from me. I mean, I don't care if you're on a moped. As long as you're riding, you count. But everybody's got their own style, their own flavor. And that's great. I'm a sport bike guy. I think they're sexy. I think girls look good on them. I think guys look good on them. That's all there is to that. I'm running out of gas. There we go. Yes, I just switched to my reserve on the fly. Why? I've mentioned this before, but god damn it, I'm awesome! Anyway, I think that's all I'm going to say on the subject of sport bikes versus cruisers. It's one of those hot topics that people like to argue about, but I really see no reason to argue. Dumbass, crossing a double yellow. Schmuck! Anyway, like I said, there's no reason to argue, guys. As long as you're on two wheels, sharing the wind, what is there to complain about? Pick your bike, ride your own ride, and shut the hell up. I think that's all I have to say on that. Sport bikes, cruisers, I love them all. If you guys have an opinion, feel free to share in the comments below or in a video response. And I will see you guys on the next one. Of course, now that I mentioned how much I love sport bikes, I'm stuck behind a cruiser. That is one benefit that sport bikes have that cruisers do not. Cruisers don't lane split well. They're built wider, have a wider stance. Now I like that because they're big and beefy and you can block traffic with them. They make good bikes for road captains. But as far as lane splitting for the commuter, baggers are not your friend. That's something to think about if you're buying your first bike. Baggers are not your friend for lane splitting. Anyway, just thought I'd share that with you guys real quick. Take it easy.